Prince of Tides is your second foray into directing after Yentl. And Nick Nolte gets a Golden Globe. So you,
as
director...
What does foray mean?
Attempt. More than attempt. Good try. Your second go at directing.
Second go at, yeah.
And Nick Nolte gets himself a Golden Globe.
And the LA Critics Award.
Yeah, and that's just so far as we speak. So this obviously reflects your skill as a director. You share in that glory that he's achieved?
Somewhat, I suppose.
Why did you choose him? Sounds like a song.
Yeah, I did sing a song called Why Did I Choose You? Because I wanted someone very masculine, but with a lot of pain behind the eyes, a lot of complexity, sensitivity, vulnerability behind the macho exterior. And he fits the bill.
Was he nervous of you?
I think at the beginning, yeah. Yeah.
You were a bit tough with him, weren't you? You made him lose a lot of weight.
Well, it's not tough or strong in that sense. I mean, he is an actor, gains weight for a part, he loses weight for a part, so it's not that I had to beg him to lose weight. He knew he had to lose weight. But I wanted him to be more of a romantic leading man in this movie, rather than just play a character part, which is what he's used to playing. So sometimes he resisted that. I'm a character actor. No, Nick, I have to look great.
As a director, is it important for you to have actors that you have a rapport with?
It helps. Yeah, it helps. But I mean, if there's an intensity, a dynamic, a relationship that has fire, that works. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not nice and every minute. It's interesting. It's alive. It's complex.
Come on, Lowenstein. You're supposed to be answering my questions. Why did she do it?
Something about writing that book made her want to become someone else.
And that was okay with you?
It was not okay with me. I told her unless she resolved her own problems, no one else should become would have a chance.
Is this what people pay you to do? Turn them into someone else?
You're not listening to me. You
Oh, bullshit! What do you think I'm doing here today?
Complaining, avoiding, pointing the finger.
You know what? Even put my sister Renata helping. The whole thing makes me sick.
The way you're reacting makes me sick.
Why do you expect me to react, huh? What if I'd done the same thing to your son?
It's not about
I'll change your name and turn you into a pescatarian quarterback.
Different, Mr. Wingo. My son didn't try to kill himself.
Oh, give him time, Lowenstein. Give him time.
As a director, of course, and acting in the film, you have a split personality. I mean, how far did the director allow the actress to go?
You see, when I direct a movie and produce a movie, the actress comes last. The actress comes third. In other words, I serve the film first, so in other words, I filmed all my scenes last. And I was a cover set, which means that when it rains outside, you go in and do my scenes. It was cheaper that way. So, in a way, I don't cater ever to the actress. I did the same thing on Yentl, too. But I do get very shy. I mean, I don't like to do love scenes and things that should be done in private. I'm a very private person, so I get very shy when we do love scenes. And then it's, that's my crew. How can I do this? And so sometimes I cut too early, perhaps.
There was a line in the film where Nolte says to you, I'm glad to see you have a sense of humor. I thought you might have had it surgically removed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you didn't feel that in any way was related to you. Your sense of humor is...
Well, I'm a dichotomy. I mean, actually, I remember even as a child, people used to say, either I was very giddy and flippant and funny, or they would say you're too serious. So, that is true. That is true on one hand and not true on another. Maybe at times I take life too seriously.
Well, what makes you laugh?
People falling down. No, it's terrible. But I mean, I think when I hear something funny, I say it very seriously. In other words, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. That's a serious thing to me, that something's funny.
You don't need to laugh out loud.
Because I laugh out loud over the stupidest things, in other words. In other words, the human character that's supposed to be straight and elegant and poised. If that person trips, I'm not making a joke here. I mean, I find that funny. You know,
If the
I don't mean
cigarette-
if they hurt themselves. I don't find that
Sure.
funny, but there's something funny about silly things.
Now, your son in the film is your own son,
Mhm.
Jason. Is this just a good old simple case of nepotism?
No. No, I resisted hiring him, even though he read the script at a reading we had the first time we finished the script, and he was absolutely brilliant. But I thought he was too old for the part, and then I thought, well, about the complexities of mother-son direction and so forth. And Pat Conroy was the one who saw his picture on my piano and said,
The writer of the book.
the writer of the book, yeah, he said, who's that kid? I said, that's my son. He said, that's Bernard. And he is described in the book just as Jason looks, dark curly hair, dark eyes, long legs, prominent nose, and full lips like his mother. And then I thought he was like very, Jason, I mean, he's my son. I never think he eats enough, And I thought he's very thin. He says he's thin in the book. He weighs, look, I wrote he weighs 140 pounds. I said, well, no, I think Jason weighs 125 pounds. So I called Jason up. And I said, how much do you weigh, Jason? He says, 140 pounds. Why? I thought, this is meant to be. He also wanted to play the part, and my son has never asked me for anything.
So can I watch you play? I mean, I promise I won't be overprotective.
I don't look like playing anymore. Come on, let's toss the ball around for a few minutes.
My trained feel, I gotta do whatever she wants.
Oh, you got a tough kid. Come on, let's lie in the grass and cry for all the terrible misfortune to do us. Huh?
You turn into like a real jerk every time my mother's around. What are you trying to do, impress her?
You're totally out of line, Bernard. You're not mad at him, you're mad at me.
Save that crap for your patience, Mom.
The character he plays, of course, inherits his parents' problems, not only in the film, but in real life, as we all do. But what did he particularly inherit from you in the terms of the problem?
In real life, you're talking about?
Yes.
I think he's very artistic. And he tends to be perfectionistic, which means striving for excellence, in my opinion. And that can be painful sometimes, but it's also very rewarding. He's like me. He likes his privacy. He doesn't like the glamorous side of show business. Neither do I.
But like you, he has inherited, as he's bound to, being an actor, intrusions into his private life. Do you help him with that? I mean, what happened?
It's shocking, you see. It's very shocking what they will make up to sell newspapers. But I felt a little better when I read an article about how during the Civil War, they would tell military secrets, anything to sell newspapers, So, I don't understand it. I don't understand that kind of mean-spirited journalism. I never have. I don't think I ever will.
Now, the film deals with childhood traumas. Was this a sort of personal exorcism for you?
Well, I mean, it's a very famous book. It's about a Southern family, so that doesn't relate to me. But I think it's a universal theme. I think most people have suffered traumas in their childhood. And after all, we are who we were. We're molded by our parents, and we have a tendency to live out the unresolved problems of our parents. So, in a way, you better have some consciousness and distance about your past and look at it and evaluate it and accept what it was, and then you could make the necessary changes in your life.
Do you have any particular painful
What are you
memories?
trying to get at?
I'm just digging.
You're digging. No, I had a painful childhood, I would say, yeah.
I've read, again, one Easter, and you can tell me what is true,
Mm-hmm.
that when your mother remarried, you developed tinnitus. Is there any truth in that?
Yeah, that is true.
That's extreme.
I don't know how much of that is emotional, to tell you the truth. Yeah, the first time I met my new stepfather, I didn't know who he was. And then I was told that this was my new stepfather. And I went home from camp to a new apartment. I had lived with my grandmother and my grandfather in a little apartment house in Brooklyn. And this strange man came in, and then he left. So I slept in the bed with my mother that night and woke up with these noises in my ear. So it is very interesting. Why did it happen then? You know?
It doesn't go away, though, does it?
No.
So how are you now?
Well, I live with it. I've learned to live with it. It's very maddening. You know, if I get very tired or emotionally distraught, it can drive me crazy. There are people who have been driven to suicide by these noises.
And you and your mother now, relationship?
Oh,
good?
wonderful now, yeah. Because I've come to terms with her, I've realized, you know, that she, like most parents, I think, do the best they can. They don't mean to hurt children. I think they're trying to survive. You know, that's what this movie says, too. I don't mean to make the mother a villain at all.
And has the grown-up Barbara forgiven her stepfather for marrying her mother?
Have I forgiven my mother for marrying my stepfather?
Mm.
Yeah, I have.
Let me ask you one more question about family. Is it true that you tried to reach your father through a medium?
Well, before I directed Yentl, I was very scared. And before this movie, I was very scared. Because it's a big, you know, risk you take. You risk failure, humiliation, public humiliation. And sometimes I get very happy in the years between projects, you know, or I can live my life as a more normal human being, not in the spotlight. And so before I did Yentl, I said, I don't know whether to do this. I was frightened. So I asked my brother. My brother's a very pragmatic man. He was an art director and then he went into real estate. He's very meat and potatoes, no woo-woo, no spiritual stuff or anything like that, you know. And he told me that he met a woman who's a medium, not a medium with a turban or earrings, a woman who looks like a regular housewife in Long Island, but she has this spirit, and he told me something about contacting my father at one time with him. I said, well, I'd like to see that for myself. So I decided to have him take me to my father's grave, which I'd never seen before. And as a matter of fact, the only picture I have with my father is me with my arm around his tombstone. For some reason, there's never a picture of him holding me.
You were just an infant.
He died when I was 15 months old. And so we went to the grave, and there is my father's tombstone. Beloved, Phi Beta Kappa Chi, beloved teacher and scholar, like Yentl's father was. Son of Isaac, his Hebrew name was Mendel, for Emanuel Streisand. And I'm not going to tell you all the details, but anyway, we went that night to my brother's house. This woman came, you know, we did the thing like putting your hands on the table. The table starts to move, and I get so freaked out and scared I run into the bathroom. But then I figure I got to come out. You know, I'm cynical. I think this is a trick. You know, I look under the table when I came out. No wires, no nothing. And this table starts spelling. I don't know if you know, the leg moves, picks up, and bangs. And it was spelling M-A-N-N-Y, which is my father's nickname, Manny. And the message was to B-A-R-B, you know, Barbara. And the message at first was S-O-R-R-Y, sorry, which is, I mean, if this woman was doing it, it was brilliant, you know. And then S-I-N-G-P-R-O-U-D. Anyway, I never wanted to do it again because it scared me in a way, but there was something real about this. And then my brother sent me a copy of this picture, my arm around the tombstone. My assistant on the movie was with me, and he said, Barbara, look at the name on the tombstone next to your father's. Now here I am trying to decide whether to direct Yentl. And in the story Yentl that Isaac Singer probably wrote in the 1930s, she takes on the name of her dead brother, who was called Anshul, a boy, Anshul. Now, I've never heard this name, you know, before. And the tombstone next to my father, the name on it is Anshul. So make of it what you will. But I directed that movie.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry about everything. Asking what I did. It was my only way of staying, and it was wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
I think so.
It's understandable. You're in love.
Sinful, unnatural.
Who knows what's
I
natural?
was asking the impossible.
Don't go, Aspel.
Everything okay? Everyone aboard?
Don't go! I'll come with you! Wait! Nothing's impossible!
Nothing.
Will you answer a few questions, Miss Bright?
Sure, but I don't talk very good yet.
Did you know Nick was going to give himself up?
That man will do anything to keep him coming home for dinner.
A guy named Peterson says Nick masterminded the whole swindle. What do you say?
He couldn't mastermind an electric light bulb out of a socket.
Fanny, what about these stocks?
Stock. The only stock I know about is summer stock.
What's your husband's story?
There is no story. My dope was an innocent dupe. Oh, my dupe was an innocent dope.
Did he try to sell you any of the bonds?
That much of a dope he ain't.
You realize he might go to prison for this?
Well, at least I'll know where he is nights.
You still love him, Miss Bright?
Her name is Ornstein. Mrs. Ornstein.
Mrs. Arnstein, do you still love him?
You've shown that you've got a natural gift for comedy. Why don't you do more?
I love comedy. I just haven't found one. I used to love making movies like The Owl and the Pussycat. I think they were really fun. Fun to go to work every day. I've really been looking for one. I'll find one.
You were determined to be an actress, weren't you? I mean, you regarded singing as a second-class profession.
Well, I didn't understand nightclubs. I thought people sing in nightclubs, and you know that if you sing in nightclubs, maybe they perceive you as a floozy or something. So no, I wanted to be a great classical actress. I only became a singer because I couldn't get work as an actress. So I entered this talent contest and won it, and thought, my God, what am I doing singing in a nightclub? And then I started to realize, well, wait a minute. With each song, I can be a different character. So, you know, one song I would play a character from a Lorca play. The next character I would do a sense memory from my acting class. Another character I would be Juliet, and so forth and so on. And then started to appreciate the art of singing and performing.
Was your audience aware of what you were doing?
No, God, no. Wouldn't want them to be.
Yeah. The singing, of course, did get you noticed, and you sang for JFK, didn't you? But it wasn't at the White House, was it?
It was the press conference of the, I can't remember, I know it was 1963, though.
That year?
Yeah, and then I was going to sing for him again, but he died.
Got his autograph?
I did.
Nice
and
message.
lost it. Can you imagine? I put it down. I mean, I never ask anybody for an autograph.
Why should you?
But I wanted to, I wanted his, I remember. And,
What did he write?
he writes what I write today now, because I thought, well, if it's good enough for John Kennedy, it's good enough for me. Because, you know, sometimes, unless you know the person, or I can write a personal message, which I do if I know them, or know something about them, but otherwise, he wrote with best wishes. That's what I write.
And then, of course, at the age of 21, you're singing with Judy Garland.
From now, just get happy. I hear you better change the box here. Hallelujah. Just get happy. Happy time. Happy time. Happy
21. I think she was 42. And she was extraordinary. God, I thought she was great. I'd never heard her until like a year before that. I didn't know about Judy Garland, even though she was so famous. I didn't know her, except from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And then one day I walked into they happened to be recording her live in a studio on 30th Street, and I thought, holy mackerel, this woman is fantastic. So it was a great thrill to work with her, and she was a doll. We just had this instant soul connection. And
You said you felt her hand shaking when you held hands during that sequence. But you didn't at the time understand why.
No, I didn't understand what frightened her. I mean, here I was coming up, nothing to lose, feeling all full of myself, like, wait till they see me.
Sort of
And I
chutzpah,
thought,
isn't it?
well, I don't know. I don't like that word, chutzpah. It has a strange connotation. It implies a kind of underlying ruthlessness, which I don't like, and it's not true. I was always very shy. I made rounds. I wanted to be this great actress, but after 2 days of rounds, knocking on people's doors, I found it so degrading that I said, forget it, I'll be a hat designer. I'm not going to ask people for a job. And the couple of people I saw on those days, I said, you'll be sorry you didn't give me a job, but I'll never come back here. I had too much pride, So I don't know what you mean by chutzpah, but...
Well, just confidence is what I meant.
Confidence, yeah. I always had enormous confidence and enormous lack of self-esteem. That's why when I talk about paradoxes,
Yeah.
it's so polarized,
It's a very artistic thing, that, anyway, isn't
Probably,
it?
yeah. That's the way it is.
But what about fear? Have you found it grows as you
Oh,
get
yeah,
older?
totally. That's why I understand why she was frightened. In other words, now for me to perform is frightening.
Your last live concert was in 1986, the One Voice concert, and there was such a huge gap between that and the previous one. Did you really find it impossible to perform?
I can't get it. It's like I can't even imagine what other lifetime I was in when I performed, when I was 18, like the 21, 22. I can't even imagine. How did I get up there? I look at it and go, how did I get up there and perform in front of all these people? It's like, would you be comfortable doing it?
No.
Well, that's how I feel now. You see, just like you and most people, they go, how did you ever get up there? I said, I can't.
But then we don't have quite the same thing to offer. What
Well-
persuaded you
To do that,
in 86?
I wanted to raise money for the Democrats and for my foundation that gives a lot of money to environmental issues and civil liberties and good things like that.
Following amongst gay people, and they've been very loyal to you, always. But you've been criticized for not having been seen to do enough in the AIDS cause.
Well, it depends how you look at it. In the last few months, we've given $100,000 to different AIDS projects. That's the way I give. I don't perform. If I performed, I'd perform for them. But I don't. I perform very rarely, and I'd rather give my money.
Your voice is a Stradivarius. Why lock it away?
But I don't. I've made something like 45 albums. So I sing all the time. When I did this last concert, I had I'm always petrified I'm going to forget the words. So I had 3 monitors with the words. Everywhere I looked, I could see the words. But what I didn't count on was one of the songs the audience stood up for when I sang America the Beautiful, right? And they blocked my monitors. And I'm walking around the stage with the mic trying to find them, So it panics me. When it panics me, I go, you see, I don't really enjoy performing. I feel like a court jester sometimes. I wish I could. I wish I admire people who get up and they love to sing and dance in front of people, I think that's a great gift. I just don't have it now.
There are no plans then to perform live?
Well, I'm thinking about it because, as I said, I like to take risks and I like having new challenges, and it scares me, and so I like to go through the fear, and maybe I can do it. I'm actually thinking about it. For the last 5 years, I wouldn't even have thought about it. So I'm thinking about it, but you don't think my records are good enough for me to give to the public?
They're quite nice. I've enjoyed 1 or 2 of them over the years. And they never stop coming, as you say, 45 albums, and the awards have never stopped coming either. Your latest collection, just for the record, spans 30 years of your work. And I love the opening. It includes that acetate you made when you were just 13 years old. Do you remember that very clearly?
Yeah. My mother took me because she wanted to be a singer. So she recorded 2 songs and I recorded 2 songs. And I do remember, which I wrote about in the notes of the album, that first moment of improvisation when we had planned with this Borscht Belt pianist my mother found from Brooklyn, where he used to go off in big sections. Like when my mother was singing, he went off and played 2 minutes of his own thing, and then my mother came back in, and I said to him, because I was only 13, but I said, could you cut down your part, because it's like, you want to sing the song, you do a little thing like this on the piano, and then the words have to come back in. And I remember standing in front of the mic, and we had planned a certain ending, and then something else happened. My voice went a whole other way, and I went, whew, what was that? I guess you could call that inspiration, I didn't know what it was, but it's a nice feeling when that happens as an actress or as a singer. If you're in the moment, then you don't know. It's not from your head. It's not a preconceived plan. You're free to just have the music go through you and do what it wants.
Is it possible to choose a favorite song from all those years, all those songs?
I like the one I wrote, Evergreen.
Got an Oscar.
Yeah, that was a real thrill. I also love The Way We Were. I like People. I like a lot of them. I like most of them that I've ever sung.
Yeah. Now, you've done some great duets in your time. You've had Ray Charles and Neil Diamond and Barry Gibb, but there was a character in the TV special you did who certainly had something quite different. Color Me, Barbara. Remember?
Yeah, I love that show. What was it? What are you thinking about? A duet?
Yes.
With who?
With an anteater.
Oh, yeah.
We have so much in common. It's a phenomenon. We could pool our resources by joining forces from now on. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
From the very beginning, Barbara, you've had total success. I mean, your first album got a prize, your first television special got a prize, you got an Oscar with your first film. Did you feel that it was too much, too soon?
Well, probably a lot of that put me into therapy. I never realized. I thought I adjusted very well to success. But in a way, looking back, I think, it probably was very traumatic. I mean, it gave me all kinds of psychosomatic illnesses. And that's why I went to therapy, because, not just to absorb myself in myself, it was to try to stop these illnesses.
And the pressure must have been enormous, because you can only go down when you've been at the top all the time.
I think that's what happens, Although, like now, I'm beginning to realize this. It's more about living life and relationships with people and children, and show business is just sort of one part of my life.
Yeah. It was again a quote. I was a personality before I was a person. That sounds possible.
That is really true. That is really true. Yeah.
Now, William Wyler, who directed you in your first film, Funny Girl, spotted your abilities as a director. Was this just because you always wanted your own way?
No. You see, these things are very misunderstood. We had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. We loved each other and respected each other. And I would come and say, Willie, there was a line in Philadelphia. We once tried out, what do you think of this? And an experiment, blah, blah, blah. Show him all kinds of things, have all kinds of ideas. He would either accept them or reject them. That was fine, but I wanted to lay out all the alternatives for him. And he appreciated and loved that. Which is like what I do with actors now. If an actor gives me a good idea, I take it. You'd be a fool not to. It's not a matter of ego. It's a matter of just what's going to work best for the film.
It's interesting because, as you say, you are ready to listen to people's suggestions, and you want to do what is best for the film.
Right.
The magazine still use phrases like a control freak, too demanding. Why are they doing this to you?
I think it's just because I'm a woman, and a woman who is an actress and a singer, and They're not quite used to a woman doing all those jobs. Because it really is a silly premise. I mean, if I were a man, no one would ask the question. You wouldn't say to Marty Scorsese, are you tough, demanding? I mean, you see, they also leave out the other thing. I'm a woman, and with that comes wonderful qualities. Because I'm also a mother. I'm nurturing. And I'm supportive and loving to my crew, to my cast. So these are very nice things about being a woman director. Those are always left out. You only focus on the tough, demanding. And I am, too. I am all those things.
Of course, you have two lives. You have one that the press write about, and then there's the real you. Are you going to set the record absolutely straight with an autobiography?
Yeah. Absolutely. I plan to do that. My nightmare is that no one will believe it, though, because they've read so much, so many lies over the years. I'm trying to be very positive these days,
yeah.
And, see the positive even in the negative. Like you said before, fear is the energy behind doing your best work. Or looking at the positive side of my negative childhood. If I didn't have a negative childhood, I probably would never be successful. I wouldn't have anything to prove. I wouldn't be who I am.
You're always quite brave in the films you do. You pick subjects that are not easy to bring to the screen. But
Like
there is that
incest.
line in Yentl, nothing's impossible. That is obviously your philosophy.
I really believe that. I really, really believe that. I like to work with people who say, like in England here, they were so fantastic. When I would say to dear Peter Mack, who was Peter MacDonald, he was my camera operator on Yentl, and he's now directing a movie in the United States. And he was so fantastic, and I would say, well, this is the way I see it, and the camera goes over this, and da-da-da-da-da, and it's all in one shot, and can you do that? He would say, no problem. Now that's the kind of people I like to work with. I love that kind of person. When I would say to Peter, well, let me just, I'll do it a simpler way. I can simplify the shot for you. No. That was your first instinct. That's what I'm going to give you. I mean, it's just divine.
Which do you want more for your films, Academy Awards or box office success?
Both. Do I have to settle for one?
There's a quote of yours which I do hope is true. You've said, in life I need instant gratification.
Why do you hope that's true?
It's just an exciting concept, and I'd like to see how you explain it.
I'm not very proud of that quality.
Oh.
It's a kind of impatience. And I said in Yentl, teaching her the Talmud, teaching Hadass, my wife, right? Patience is a virtue. So I'm not proud of that need for instant gratification. It's getting a little better. Do
you still love food as much as ever?
I love food. I live for food. I sit and think about what to eat the next day. Yeah.
In the early days, did you have much pressure to conform? I mean, your beauty is not a standard beauty. Did the studio say, let's tweak it here and there?
Let's tweak it. Maybe early on, I guess some people suggest that I have my nose down on my... I have a slightly cross-eyed, I think, too, from certain angles. It just would never occur to me. I mean, I like being who I am. I mean, it's not perfect by any means.
But if your nose had been tampered with, your voice would have been destroyed,
I
surely.
think so, probably. And the truth is, I'm not a very trusting person, so I wouldn't have trusted the doctor to just take off a millimeter here and straighten this and blah, blah, blah. And I like my bump. Everybody always wanted to cut off my bump. I think my nose is odd, mostly from most angles. But I would have preferred it to be straighter. But again, you can't have everything, right?
You've been 30 years in the business, and you've got the album, of course, which celebrates that. And I wonder, what is your next project?
Life. Living, traveling, relating, reading, learning, schooling, playing.
But I've read also that there is a great new deal with you, Columbia Films and Sony Records.
What that means is if I do films, they get the first look at them. The first look at projects I would be interested in. And of course, I've been with Columbia Records longer than most people at Columbia Records.
Yes, you've never changed label, have you?
I've been with them since I was 19.
And you've accomplished everything you set out to do, surely. I mean, you've got the Emmys and the Grammys and the Tonys and the Golden Globes.
I haven't got
and the
any
Oscars.
award for directing yet. That would be really nice. That would be a real thrill, I must say.
That is what's left, is it?
Yeah.
Gentle